Hello and welcome to my channel, AB Make It Artwork, where we do what we do to make that artwork for you. And if you're new to my channel, maybe hit that subscribe button and join the AB Creative crew. We do sketchy art things. As you can still see, the video footage being used is from the Valentine's Day portrait special. If you'd like to get a couple portrait with you and your partner, you and your best friend, you and your pet, you and your friend's characters, your personas, what have you, in this particular drawing, someone got their persona and their real life pet. The possibilities are endless and they are only $10. But this is only lasting up till Valentine's Day. Once Valentine's Day is over, I am no longer offering the sale of get one portrait free. If you want to add an additional character, person, pet, what have you, that is $5 extra to add beyond the basic 2 in the Valentine's Day portrait. But yeah, after the sale is over, the portraits are going back to $10 each portrait. So if you want to get a portrait like this after Valentine's Day, that is a $20 portrait, but likely it'll also be in like full color. So take that as you will. Like I said, this deal is limited. Like once Valentine's is over, no longer happening. So you better get your portraits while they're hot, while they're ready, while they're $10 to get one, get the other one free, all in that togetherness. Much love, much appreciation. Okay, so keeping in theme with the idea of the story arc of loves, loved and then lost, or maybe lusts that were confused as love and then lost. I don't know. This is me looking back on my previous relationships and how I learned healthier relationship habits from them in the experience. And just sharing those like healthier habits that I learned from my previous relationship experiences. This will be sort of a continuation of the experience that I had with my second partner, which was a long distance relationship via Facebook Messenger and a little bit of Google Chat, because sometimes we would both use like a Gmail, I think, to do conversations and stuff. This is sort of the evolution and continuation of that relationship with Arctic Fox. So there's going to be a third person in the story, and for the sake of keeping people's identities as personal, we don't want to like expose people because some of them I still talk to. Like this third person I do talk to. So we're going to refer to him as Tiggy, and you can probably guess that's what his persona is. So we're going to call him Tiggy. So this is about like my polyamorous relationship. So from the title you can see we're going to ramble a lot. So what's the deal with polyamory? Communication is key. And if you don't know what polyamory is, it is a term often used to denote that it is a multi-partner relationship, often with all parties consenting to be in the relationship. So this term is a bit of an umbrella term, sort of like how ace is an umbrella term for certain people's sexual identity. Polyamory is an umbrella term for a romantic identity of like different partnerships you can have. So the root words in polyamory is poly for many and amory, which means love. So the word itself means many loves. And again, this is an umbrella term including all relationships that have more than 2 consenting partners. Because, as you probably know, a relationship with just 2 people is monogamy. So one other person, mono being one. So once you add more than that, that's where you get poly. So yeah, that might have been a bit redundant. Now, there are many types of different polyamory, so this is going to be like a quick lesson in that. So what first comes to mind when people think of polyamory is polygamy, which oftentimes people get it confused that these are like interchangeable terms. They are not. Polygamy is a type of polyamory, but not all polyamory is polygamy. Now, polygamy is the type of polyamory in which one main partner amasses like other types of partners. So in the version that most people think of, they think of one man amassing a bunch of wives, like in Sister Wives, that TV show. And I think that's like called polygyny or polydyny. One of them is polydyny, the other one's polygyny, because there is a type of polygamy in which a wife can amass a group of husbands. So think sort of harem for like easiest ideals of what does it mean when people say polygamy, which again, it's a type of polyamory, but it does not represent all types of polyamory. For instance, there are types of polyamory where there are like platonic friendships or like platonic partnerships in which there is an emotional dependency on your partners. Like you aren't there for like sexual needs or sexual gratification or physical intimacy, or maybe there might be some physical intimacy such as cuddling and hugging and like petting your head, brushing your hair, that kind of stuff. But it's not sexual intimacy. Their open relationships are also a type of polyamory, which technically when it came to my second relationship, it was a Arctic Fox was my primary partner, and I gave him the option to have an open relationship, to seek out any partners for like sexual needs. So that's something I did touch base on just a little bit. So we were sort of in already a pre-stage of polyamory where we had a one-sided open relationship where he could seek out sexual partners. And I had consented to that. So again, key with polyamory is that all people are like honestly communicating with each other, and all parties are consenting to the fact that one or the other partner is seeking other partners. So that's as like simplified as I can get it. Now, I was in a triadic partnership when it comes to this third relationship, in which it was a male to female ratio, like relationship ratio, which I was the only female and Tiggy and Arctic Fox were the other two males in the partnership. Now, this lasted for about a year, and we had pretty good communication, but as you'll probably figure out later on in the video, communication ended up falling apart by the end of it, and is the key reason why we broke off the partnership. And again, all these partners, all these parties are like long distance. So while we were in a triadic partnership, Arctic Fox still had the option to seek out sexual partners, because we gave him that option. And then Tiggy and I were also, like, Arctic Fox was like our primary. And, well, we were each other's partners. So that's as easy as I can make it. That we were all dating each other, except Arctic Fox had like special privileges to go seek sexual partners whenever he needed that. As confusing as that all is. So I say communication is key because you gotta be honest and open with like what's going on. Now, some like poly relationships will have it be like, I don't want to hear what you're doing with other people, and that is completely acceptable, because some poly partnerships require that they not hear what you're doing if you're seeking other sexual partners. They may ask how is the emotional well-being of that partner, but like they may not want to hear who you're kissing and tell. Like they don't want kiss and tell. At the beginning, it was really nice. Tiggy was a great emotional support. Tiggy is also a very sweet person. He's a very giving and kind person, and I had actually met Tiggy before we had gotten into this relationship by proxy through Arctic Fox, because at first Tiggy was dating Arctic Fox's friend, who considered like a sister. And if you kind of remember my little blurb in the last video, this was one of the falsehoods that Arctic Fox had kept trying to pass off as a truth in his head, that this person was like a sister. But like I said last I checked, you do not get a blowjob from your sister unless you're messed up in some weird way. Like, we do not get blowjobs from our sisters or any siblings. That's sick, nasty, gross. And so that's kind of one of the many not truths that Arctic Fox had. But it was from that person that Tiggy was the actual person dating her. I'm gonna call her Catsy, because she was a catty bitch and really rude to Tiggy, to be honest. And we would hear from Tiggy about how he was upset that his girlfriend Catsy was always kind of talking to other people flirting with them, kind of putting him down all the time, even though he would like shower her with gifts. And overall, like, I kind of wish that we had all cut Catsy out of our life a lot sooner, because she did have kind of manipulative, like, obsessive tendencies. But it's like, sometimes, like, boys are stupid because they want attention, just like girls are stupid because they want attention and they don't want to cut people out of their lives because they get attention from that person, which was the situation with Arctic Fox and Catsy. Like, he had known that person for so long and gotten so much like validation and attention from them that he just couldn't see himself cutting them out until it was like much too late, and they realized, like, this person's crazy. This person is absolutely crazy, and they just keep hurting one or both of my partners. I just can't deal with them anymore. So eventually, Tiggy broke up with Catsy, and him and Arctic Fox had been talking for a bit while we were all just kind of on break or breakups. And we'd all been talking, and we all kind of just decided together, like, both of the boys actually brought this idea to my attention, like, hey, we both have, like, feelings for you. Like, Tiggy has a crush on you because he thinks you're a very sweet and kind person. I know you're a sweet and kind person, and I already, like, have emotional attachment to you. What if we tried, like, just dating each other? This was, like, Arctic Fox kind of, like, bringing this idea up. And, like, I thought, you know what, sure. I'm up to try something. Like, I'm up to try it. I know that Tiggy's a very nice person that, like, will be competent in satisfying my, like, emotional need for connection. Like, call back to other video that I need, like, emotional intimacy where I can talk freely about, like, what's going on in my day. And, like, Tiggy oftentimes filled in that role that I needed when it came to Arctic Fox. But I still had that, like, emotional attachment and dependency on Arctic Fox in the relationship. So throughout the year, I actually had to keep this long-distance relationship a secret, because at the time I was at my paternal grandparents, and they just didn't approve of the fact of me being a teenager and trying to explore my sexuality through text messages. Now, I wasn't sending pictures, I was just sending, like, worded text message, role-playing and stuff. I don't recommend that you do this because it is considered illegal for, like, minors to, like, talk to someone that's already 18. Like, the age gap was, like, 2.5 years, and for some states, like, the age gap is different per state. So it's, like, you gotta be careful with, like, who you're texting. Like, even if you're both 15, if someone, like, comes back to your messages when you're an adult and says, hey, you were sending these messages when you were a minor to another minor, they might try to make some, like, legal implication with that. So I'm not recommending you do this. That's just, like, me being a mom. Like, don't do stupid shit like I did. Like, do as I say, not as I do. But yeah, I had to keep my polyromantic long distance relationship a secret. So oftentimes it was, like, us messaging when we could. And when it came to Arctic Fox, I had the emotional attachment. And when it came to Tiggy, he was a lot of my emotional support. And I think he's a very sweet guy. And, like, he was just very nice. He was very nice. He always would offer to buy me gifts. And it's like, dude, I can't accept gifts right now because, like, I'm not in a situation where it's like I could accept anything you send me. Because, like, crazy foster parents right now, bruh. It's too much. Like, I'm 17, crazy foster parents, just too much. But, like, if you're gonna do things in a polyamorous relationship where it's, like, you've given one partner consent to, like, go seek out partners, like, you don't want to hear about it. Like, but you would like to know when they are seeking out a sexual partner. And sometimes Arctic Fox was really good about, like, letting us know that he was seeking out a partner. But there were other times where Arctic Fox hid very personal things. Now, this is gonna be a little touchy for people who are triggered by subjects such as self-harm and suicide. So at the time, because of like things being really hard, I'm like very emotional. Like I'm having panic attacks like every week because of my placement in my foster home, which is a whole other story that I promise I will talk about, but just not today. Um, I was getting back in the habits of self-harm. Now, I was explaining to my therapist this, and like I knew that I had to tell my partners because like Arctic Fox knew that I had a repeated history of like hurting myself. Not like super bad like hurt, but like little chicken scratches. But so I knew I had to tell him what was going on like with my emotional well-being. And then one day out of the blue, he admits that like first week in the relationship, Katsy had told him to tell me like to like really emotionally hurt me, to say that I was a clingy person even though he knew that I was very like worried about being perceived as clingy, but Katsy just didn't care because she was obsessed with the idea of being in a relationship with him. Um but so he had made me upset by saying all this stuff that I'm just being clingy and that I need to stop being so clingy, when he was like my only partner and I'd only like checked in 2 times that day. And so like it made me cry. He was upset that it made me cry, and suddenly he's telling me that he had tried to commit suicide like a week into our relationship because he made me upset. Throat's a little phlegmy. Um and I felt very betrayed by like this sudden realization that he had lied to me and that he had kept this a secret from me for months. Like this is nearly 2 years into our relationship, and now you're telling me that a week in you tried to commit suicide, that you punched a hole in your wall because you made me upset? Like, what the actual heck, man? Like, what the heck? Arctic Fox, what the heck? Now, this was even news for Tiggy because he didn't realize that this had happened until like we were both kind of finding out. And this is a little late into the story, but we made an agreement that when we started the relationship, that if one of us broke it off, that we would all break it off. And like we would try to talk to each other, communicate often, but there got a certain point where communications were sort of sporadic. Like one would talk to me more than the other. And then about a month after the fact, really when communication just kind of hit a point of like them keeping information from me and them not fully being open about like the status of our relationship and the communications. Like it took them a month to bother to tell me that they had both broken off the relationship on their end, but they didn't want to tell me because neither of them wanted to lose me. And we had agreed at the beginning that none of us were allowed to choose favorites. And so I gave my heart into this relationship to each of them equally. And in the end, they made me their favorite. And by keeping that a secret from me, by lying about it for a month that they had broken off the partnership because, like, Tiggy was finding out that Arctic Fox was having the same problems for him as he was for me. Like, he wasn't emotionally available. Like, they were both kind of stressed because they both had, like, sexual urges, but it's like Tiggy wasn't going to seek out like other partners because he was committed to his partners in this triadic relationship. He was Tiggy was committed to Arctic Fox and me, and so there was just so many frustrations with like their parts of the communications that I just didn't know about because no one was telling me. And by the end of it, I was like, hey, y'all both broke your word to me. Y'all both lied to me for a month now by not telling me this information, that you guys had broken off the relationship, that you guys were no longer partners, and you guys knew that my rule was that if one of us broke it off, we all had to break it off, and we all had to try seeking a relationship with people in our local area. That I was going to try dating people in my area that I could meet in person and just be with. And I don't fault Tiggy and Arctic Fox for like not telling me sooner, because they both had like deep emotional dependency on me. Like both of them knew me to be a level-headed person that they could talk to, that would like get an emotional response when they needed emotional response and someone to confide in. But we each had like little things that built up to like be obstacles that just wouldn't work for us. Now, Tiki was a very sweet person, always willing to give, always willing to like be there for me. But like as we've kind of grown up, like it's been over 7 years since like this relationship had even happened. We've grown to be like completely different people. I know he's doing pretty good in job in his life, and I only wish for the best for him. I wish that he can find someone that makes him very happy, just like I've found someone that makes me very happy, my husband. Because it was actually shortly after this relationship ended that I did start to date my husband, and like I went with him to like homecoming, and then we went on what he considers our first date, to see Hotel Transylvania. And that's how my relationship with my husband started, was by me ending this sort of relationship that wasn't an entirely honest, fully committed partnership. And part of me is like grateful that we all ended the relationship, that I had the experience that I had, so that I could know where are my boundaries, where are my hard limits, where are my soft limits for like what am I gonna deal with, like, so that I could understand what I wanted in a person and what I needed when it came from my partners, that I needed honest, open communication, like, hey, if there's a problem, tell me what the problem is, don't hold on to that problem for months, like, because to me, hiding or omitting telling me facts that I probably should know is a type of falsehood. So if you hide the fact that like you've been stressed about something for like several months, to me that's the same as like you lying that you're fine for those 2 months because that's all you told me. So it's like, that's the kind of communication that me and my husband are kind of working on, because there was a little while where he had to be used to, like my husband right now was like had to get used to the idea of like not being able to depend on anyone for like 2 years and just get his like emotional communication via text message and phone calls. So we're working on that, because sometimes you need to learn better habits from like when you got used to like bad habits. So kind of like an end lesson is just be honest with your partner. Like if you have a problem, like if you feel upset, like tell them in that instance, or like give yourself a minute to like acknowledge what's wrong and then tell them. I hope you enjoyed this sort of series. I might do one more episode on Valentine's Day, which again, last day that you can get these portraits. I'm only going to be taking 3 submissions on that day because these portraits take anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. If you want to hit me up on any of my other social media, I have a DeviantArt, I have a Twitter, I have a Tumblr, I have a Pinterest that I use for references. We have a Facebook page, which has gotten over 50 followers thus far. I have an Instagram. I am most active on my Instagram. I am trying to be more active on my Facebook page. And yeah, that's like what I have as far as social media, and those links are all in the description down below. I hope that maybe you learned some really important stuff about like finding out, like open, like realizing that you need to like be honest and open when it comes to communication, that you need to set boundaries for yourself, that there's a difference between love and lust, and that if you want to find love, you just kind of got to be patient for it. Like it's something you work at, it's not just something you get. I don't know. Anyways, I hope you are having a lovely and wonderful day, just wherever all of you wonderful people are in the world, and that you all just keep doing what you do to make that artwork for you. Lots and lots of love. Bye.